She thought she was alone. The dim lights in the massive office building had gone out hours ago, and only the soft glow from the city entered through the tall glass windows. Sofia stayed behind because she needed the overtime. Her mother's medicine wasn't going to pay for itself, and rent was due soon. She quietly swept the floor, unaware someone was watching. Hidden behind a tinted glass partition on the mezzanine level, Adrian Hale, one of the youngest millionaires in the city, observed the late shift workers. He usually didn't stay this late, but tonight was different. A deal had fallen apart earlier, and he needed space to think. But as he looked down, he noticed a girl cleaning with surprising gentleness. She didn't rush. She didn't drag her feet. Even though she was tired, her movements were careful and respectful, as if she believed the place deserved it. It was unusual. Most employees left the cleaning staff invisible. Yet something about her quiet dedication caught his attention. She wasn't performing for anyone. She truly believed she was alone. Sofia wiped the last window, humming softly, stopping only when her phone buzzed. She checked the screen and sighed. Another message from her landlord, reminding her of the deadline. Her heart squeezed. She whispered to herself, "Just a little more money. Please hold on a bit longer." She didn't realize Adrian heard every word through the open air. He watched her slump into a chair for a moment, rubbing her tired hands. Her shoes were worn and her jacket looked old, but she carried herself with grace. Adrian frowned slightly. Most people who entered his company saw him as nothing but a walking bank account. Yet here she was, working silently, asking for nothing. Sofia took out a small plastic container from her bag. Inside was a half-eaten sandwich she saved from earlier. She smiled sadly as she looked at it. "Better save the rest for tomorrow's shift," she murmured. She closed it without taking a bite and put it back. Adrian felt a strange heaviness in his chest. Instead of leaving, he continued watching. He saw her walk toward the lost and found box. She pulled out a tiny pink glove, clearly a child's. She dusted it off and placed it neatly on top with a note saying, "Someone must be missing this. I hope they find it." She didn't know no one else ever bothered organizing those items. As she moved to the final floor, her foot slipped on a wet patch. She gasped and almost fell, but steadied herself. "Not today," she whispered. "I can't afford a hospital bill." Adrian stood up involuntarily. He had the urge to rush down, but he stopped himself. She straightened her back and finished the work with even more determination. At midnight, she finally closed her cart and headed toward the elevator. Adrian hurried down the stairs, pretending he had just arrived from another floor. He timed it perfectly so they'd meet at the lobby. When the elevator doors opened, Sofia nearly bumped into him. She jumped in shock. I'm so sorry, sir," she stammered. "I didn't know anyone was still here." Adrian smiled gently. "It's all right. Long shift?" She nodded shyly. "Just finishing up." He looked at her name tag. "Sofia, you work here often?" "Yes, sir. Evening shifts mostly." "You're very thorough," he said. "I've noticed." She blinked, confused. "Thank you, sir. I try." She thought that was the end of the conversation, but he surprised her. "You shouldn't walk home this late. Do you have transportation?" "I walk," she admitted. "The buses stop early." "It's not safe," he said softly. She looked down. "It's okay. I'm used to it." He considered offering her a ride, but didn't want to make her uncomfortable. Instead, he walked out first, letting her leave without pressure. But as soon as she exited the building, the night wind hit her hard. She wrapped her thin jacket around herself and began walking. Adrian watched from a distance before deciding. He followed in his car, slowly, making sure she didn't notice. He kept a responsible distance, never too close, never invasive. When she reached a darker street, a group of teenagers passed by, laughing loudly. She stepped aside nervously. Adrian tightened his grip on the steering wheel. Nothing happened, but he felt something shift inside him. How many hard-working people suffered quietly in a city he practically ran? He had power, and money, and influence. Yet here she was, braving the night alone while he drove a luxury car worth more than her annual salary. When she finally reached her neighborhood, a small, humble place, he saw her climb the steps to a tiny apartment. She unlocked the door, turned on a dim light, and disappeared inside. Adrian exhaled deeply. He drove off, troubled by what he had seen. The next morning, Sofia arrived at work as usual. She expected nothing. But when she reached the supply closet, she froze. A brand-new ergonomic cleaning cart stood there with her name on a tag. Next to it was a warm coat, gloves, and a pair of sturdy shoes. She looked around, confused. A note was taped to the cart. For someone who takes care of everything, even when no one is watching. Her eyes welled up. She had no idea Adrian wrote it. Later that afternoon, she was called to the HR office. Her heart pounded. Had she done something wrong? The HR manager handed her a letter. "Congratulations, Sofia," he said with a smile. "You've been promoted to maintenance supervisor. The raise is included." She gasped. "Me? But why?" "The board reviewed your performance. Someone noticed how dedicated you are." She didn't know Adrian had personally requested her promotion. That evening, when she finished her shift, she found Adrian waiting in the lobby, not as a boss, but as someone who wanted to make sure she was okay. "You're not walking home," he said kindly. "At least not tonight." Sofia hesitated, but something in his expression felt safe. "You saw everything, didn't you?" she whispered. He nodded gently. "Yes, and you deserve far more than life has given you so far." For the first time in a long time, she didn't feel invisible. And even though she had thought she was alone that night, someone had finally seen her.